By the end of this video, you will know how to build an AI agent that is simple, powerful, and can help your team analyze all of your data. Let's get started. My name is Andrew Warner. I've worked for almost 10 years as a virtual chief financial officer for marketing companies. And with this AI revolution, I've discovered that there's two things that AI is really great at. One of which is analyzing lots of data. And the second thing is writing. So if you combine those two things, you can actually produce an AI agent that can provide consulting reports for you and your business. And I'm going to show you how. This has been really helpful for me and my team. And I've noticed that nobody's talking about this. So I'm going to start now. I'm going to clue you in. So for this AI analyst system, I've noticed it can be really difficult to know how to get started. I really like to break it down into just 5 simple steps. But the good thing is there's simple ways to do it. So you don't have to be like an expert developer with an amazing tech team. You can just do this yourself. So the first one is trigger, which in our example, you're just going to trigger this manually. So triggering here doesn't mean like some automated system will trigger it. That's sometimes what a software would do. But in this case, you're just going to manually export data whenever you need a report. The data extraction, instead of doing some like super complex API integration, we're just going to manually export your data from a standard system. In this case, we're going to do Google Analytics. I'll show you that in a second. And then finally, for data preparation, we're just going to clean up the CSV just a little bit. And then the agent brain is going to be a custom prompt. The cool thing is you can actually use AI to make AI. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And we do that all the time, at least as a first draft. And then as you refine it, you'll definitely use AI to refine it more, but you can also refine it yourself manually. And we'll talk about some ways that I've chosen to do that with this prompt. And then finally, delivery. So this would be maybe you have to build some custom UX interface if you're a big developer. But for us, we're just going to deliver it in the AI agent system to keep things simple. So, okay, so I also have this more advanced version here. If you wanted to think through a way you could do this in N8N, you would just use Google Sheets. You would use N8N as the place where you store the prompt. And if you want to do a $1 million AI system, nothing's holding you back, you could still use the same framework and just code everything custom and do enterprise level triggers, enterprise level delivery with the perfect UX. But for right now, I'm going to try to help as many people as I can. So let's do the basic version. So what we're going to do is to trigger this, we're just going to say, hey, let's pretend our boss or our team just said they need a weekly marketing report. So what we could do is we could just go to Google Analytics. A lot of companies have Google Analytics set up. Hopefully your Google Analytics is set up correctly. If not, check out our video on server-side tracking, which we'll link below, but that can help you get the data more accurate so this process is better for you. And what I did is in Google Analytics, GA4, you can click over here on the side, you can go to Explore. And Explore is a really great tool. I use this all the time whenever I want to extract data and do a quick analysis. So what you can do is you actually can choose various dimensions. And in this case, I chose 4 dimensions. So I chose date, which obviously is the day, you want to know what day the data is happening. Session, source, medium, that's actually 2 dimensions in one. It's telling you the source, whether it's Google or Facebook or Meta, or in medium, which is paid or not paid. So you're kind of getting 2 things in there for one. And then there's also device category. This is really key because sometimes the website will be working on the web version, but not on mobile. And you can go level deeper and look at iOS 14 versus 15 versus 16. If you want to do that, feel free to. That's an easy way to upgrade this. And then also session, default channel group. That's just another way to break down where your traffic's coming from. And we're bringing in right now sessions. That's your traffic, engaged sessions. It's a more refined traffic. And then your add to carts, your checkouts, your transactions, and your revenue. So if you pull all this in and then you move it from the dimensions to the rows and then from the metrics to the values, it'll give you this export here that you can see, which is showing all of the different data that you have. Now it will only show you 10 rows of data, but that's okay. That's because Google Analytics is it knows that you're not an AI. So it's trying to make it to where you can just look at the data only you can see. But if we export to a CSV here, it will then download the whole probably 100,000 rows of this data. And the good thing is you don't have to even look at this 100,000 rows. What we can actually do is pull up this Excel sheet. And so when you look at this Excel export that we have here, and you could open this in Google Sheets or Excel, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these first 6 rows just so the AI doesn't get confused and think that those are different data pieces. I've noticed sometimes it gets confused and it thinks that this total column at the top, this is the sum of everything. So most of the time it doesn't, but even if you tell it to ignore the grand total row, it sometimes includes it and then thinks that the sessions are double, which is a huge problem. So sometimes just to improve the accuracy, I just delete both of those. And by the way, you could, if you wanted, we have automated systems that eliminate this process. to reach out if you're interested in that. But this is it. If you want to do something simple, this is an easy way to have the data very clean and we're ready for AI ingestion. Now, what you can do, I had this prompt, which I will give to you. You can sign up for our Substack or just comment on YouTube or message me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to give you the prompt that we have here. So what's cool is if you take this prompt, which goes over, in this case, it's a funnel vibe analyst. So just like there's vibe coding, what I wanted to try is to make vibe marketing. So vibe coding is where you have AI do all of your coding for you as like a programmer. But in this case, we're having vibe marketing be where AI is analyzing all of your marketing data and making recommendations just like a professional marketer would, which I thought was cool. So I thought I would try that out. So we're just uploading this file, which I just named download 3, which is what the system named it, but you could name it something better. And it gives some good examples. It does mention a few things like watch out for attribution. Here's some data formatting things that I noticed. And then I gave some formulas that are really key, like cart to checkout rate and things like that. And then at the very end, I said, here's an example of how I'd want the report to be laid out. And I like to include a lot of emojis. I think that makes it much better. But yeah, so I made this like long prompt. The cool thing is once you have this prompt optimized, you can just use it every time. Whenever you need to do a new analysis, you can just export that data again, upload it with the prompt, and you can have AI prepare your marketing analysis for you. And so you can just continue to refine this prompt over time. But what's cool is AI then said, here is your funnel analysis. So it immediately goes into, here's the executive summary. Like a lot of times you'll get a long reports in consulting or something like that. If you hire McKinsey, and they'll give like an executive summary at the top. So I wanted to include that. So it basically says, here's the week over week story, which is that your revenue is improving. Now it does, one thing I noticed in this, because I kept saying vibe marketing in the prompt, it says vibe like way too much. So what I would probably do is go back to this prompt and just say like, maybe don't use the word vibe in any of the analysis because I mean, if it's a turn off for me, I'm sure it's a turn off for other people too. But yeah, it's just like a interesting thing that the AI went all in on, which I haven't seen before. These things are a little unpredictable and inconsistent, which is very interesting. But then if you look at this more, it does go straight into that you see a huge uplift in revenue. This is mainly or partially caused by traffic, but also there was a big win in average order value. And then it did go into, let's look at the customer's journey. So overall, like I think this is pretty accurate. Like it does go straight to what's important, and it doesn't go into the weeds on like some statistical analysis or anything else like that. It just really tells you exactly what you need to know. And then what it did is it went into the full funnel journey. So it was talking about like traffic quality, which was session to cart rate was down and not looking great. But then once somebody adds the product to their cart, and they're likely to check out, and then check out to purchase also looks like it's in the red. So if you continue to read through, it goes into what is the number one constraint, which is what you want to care about in marketing and in business and almost all aspects of life, is like finding that constraint and fixing it. So AI here does a great job of walking you through this and saying, okay, here's the area. It's that people are not adding to cart. Now the cool thing is, once you know this, you can focus your efforts here. So if you were going to focus instead on like adding more traffic, but you have a leaky funnel, and this is right where the leak is, that's not going to solve your problem. But AI was able to tell us very clearly here, this is where we need to focus efforts. And there's a lot of things where, whether that's like making the buy now button more obvious, or trying to make it to where using some of the best UX design practices, you can try to push more effort towards the pushing for a checkout and split testing all this, so that becomes very possible. Once again, it's saying like the vibes, like the vibe check would happen. So it's interesting here is that it does say that like on mobile and tablet, you're a lot worse. It's really good to know. And then here it gives next steps. So what can you do? So here's the most important part. AI was able to give us some recommended next steps. So instead of you having to spend a lot of time analyzing the data, you can just go straight to what is it you can do right now to have an impact on your business. This is the most important part, and let's take a look at how it did. So if you look here, it says the number one thing we need to focus on is to fix the engagement to cart constraint. So basically improve your add to cart percentage. And it's saying like you need to figure out the why. So AI wasn't able to tell us the why here. I think there's some other data we can maybe upload. Maybe I'll do that in a future video to try to understand that better. But it does recommend immediately doing a heat map and user case study. And this is something that's worth doing. And it recommends focusing on the mobile product discovery, since that seems to be where the specific leak is, and we want to make sure we get that plugged up. It also recommends optimizing the flow. So for A/B testing, for paid social, it actually looked at all the traffic categories and was able to see paid social was an important area where you're seeing a drop off on the product pages. And so trying to figure out and devoting all the team's effort into fixing this one area is really key. So I think this is really cool because there's a million things you could have looked at from this data set. And I think that AI chose the correct one and then is directing effort there. So I think that's amazing. Like that's the kind of value you could get from a $10,000 consulting report that comes in and analyzes your entire business. And now with AI, you can get it with just a few clicks like I've shown you today. So feel free. I think there aren't that many people that are doing this kind of vibe marketing, vibe analyst type stuff. If you're gonna do it as well, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video. Then I'm gonna do other videos in the future going deeper instead of just looking at the whole site overall, but how to go into like traffic, for example, or adding to cart rate or cart abandonment, and how to use specific prompts to help AI analyze your data to help you fix whatever your constraint is. If you can take an e-commerce business and have the cart abandonment rate go from 80% to 60%, you just doubled your revenue. So there's a lot of money to be made in analyzing this type of data, whether it's for your team, whether it's for your own e-commerce store, whether it's for a client. So now I let you into the secret, which is that AI is perfect at data analysis, perfect at writing and telling a story. And so if you can combine that, you have the power of a $10,000 consulting report whenever you want. I think this is one of the best use cases of AI, and it's something that nobody's doing. So if you want to go deeper with this is just the beginning of the story. You can go way deeper into specific metrics. Like I have 3 videos planned, one going deeper into traffic, one going deeper into the conversion rate metrics, and one even going deeper into like sub metrics within that, such as like cart abandonment rate. I mean, there's so many metrics that I've seen with my clients. For example, if you can take your cart abandonment rate from 80% to 60%, that doubles the business. Like that sounds very boring. Doesn't sound like something you'd care about, but doubling the business, whether it's for your team or for yourself if you're an e-commerce owner or for a client, that's a huge impact. And this is something that AI can unlock for you today. And it's not even something you have to pay for a crazy tool. I use Gemini, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude, you can use whatever your tool of choice is. So I'd love to continue to show more of like what I'm learning in this process. And if you're interested in learning more, please like and subscribe. And we have new videos coming out here in just a few more days. So awesome. Thanks so much.